And we're back with another episode. And we're super happy because we have a special guest, Randy Brown. Woo!
What up?
Thanks for coming out, Randy.
No problem, man. Thank you for having me.
I mean, I know you are like live on Long Island, but it's really hard to get. No one wants to come here.
Where do you live? You live in Queens.
Yeah,
right?
I live in Queens. Yeah.
Okay, well,
So this is a drive.
This was a drive, but
I'm
Caitlin's the homie. You know, we go way back, so you
I
already know.
consider I'm from from Pennsylvania, but Jersey then for a while. So to me, like Queens is Long Island, but it's definitely far.
It's not.
I mean,
Yeah.
Long Island, even from here to like East Hampton, is totally different.
Right, yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
of
it's just
course.
hard to get in and out.
Yeah, it was straight though. For me, it was like a straight ride. I got on the Southern. First, actually, I took Sunrise initially, and then there was some traffic, took me on the Southern, and I just kept going straight till I got here.
Because you probably don't ever go past like Belmore kickboxing.
No,
right?
that's it for me.
That's as far
Yeah,
as you go.
the furthest I've ever gone was
Long Island MMA.
Long Island MMA in Farmingdale.
That's like
We're
right
just
around here.
that's actually maybe a little further.
a little further, but basically
About
the
the
same.
Yeah, typically I'm just Queens. I'm in the city. That's just where I'm at mostly.
But are you born in the Queens?
Nah, you know what's crazy? A lot of people don't
You're
realize.
from Springfield, Mass.
I'm from Springfield,
just
Mass.
found
A
this
lot
out
of people.
5 minutes
A lot of
ago.
people are like, "Wait a minute, you from Jamaica?" Like, and I'm like, "Yeah, I am, but I happen to be born in Springfield, Massachusetts. It's random as hell. Everyone's like, yo, what the hell?"
I was looking at your Wikipedia before, just like prepping a little bit, and I saw it was like born in Springfield, Mass. I was Springfield, Mass. I was like, Sajara Eubanks is gonna be so pumped. You know, she's from
She's from Springfield,
Springfield,
Massachusetts.
Mass.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
And
That.
then
I don't know anything about Springfield, Mass. to
And
tell
there
you
was
the
another
truth.
UFC fighter just last week that we saw, Springfield, Mass, and Sajara was all excited.
Yeah,
about
because
it.
she was like spring. We were like,
But you're not really from there. But
I mean,
you're just born
I was
there.
born there. I was there for maybe like a day.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So literally, like
They
born
made
there.
the Wikipedia
I was
page.
born there. I was
Yeah.
born there, but my mom, my dad, they had like a business, right? So that they would travel, and my mom happened to make that trip.
Oh,
So she
wow.
made that trip, and yeah, I was ready.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. So
Yeah.
yeah, because
It
a lot
still
of
made
people.
the Wikipedia page though.
Yeah, right. A lot of people are born somewhere, and they're like, well, that's where I was born, but I wasn't raised there. But they were there for at least like
5
a
years.
year.
No,
Yeah,
I wasn't.
3
I wasn't
years.
there at all.
You just
It's-
happened to be. Your mom was just passing by.
Yeah, and then
Wow.
and then she came back. They live in Brooklyn at the time, and we came back to Brooklyn, and then I was there for about a year, and then they sent me to Jamaica, and then I
Did you grow up in Jamaica then?
yeah, I was in Jamaica from about 1.5 all the way up until I was like 16.
Oh, so you're like
Yeah.
really Jamaican.
Yeah.
Not just
Yeah.
like
No, I don't
live
like I've lived there. I travel
wow.
there. Like I still travel there at least 3 times a year.
Do you have a place there? Did
Mhm.
see?
I have a couple places there now.
Airbnb places.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and
we
I
do
rent them
Airbnb
out.
too. So
Oh,
we'll
yeah?
talk about that. Yeah.
It's so good. It's so that's one of those things where, depending on how you manage it, you can actually make a decent amount of money doing that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a
it's,
lot.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's pretty good.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's good if you have like a place where you know the area, because
Yeah.
like obviously
Or
like,
not.
Yeah,
I mean,
or not. But if you know the
if
area,
you know that people like that area, that's all that
yeah,
matters.
yeah. And if like you're familiar with the area, so you're not just like, oh, that's a destination spot. Let me like
Yeah.
invest there.
And
You can
you
get
gotta you gotta kind of know the people and be around, and and kind of what I do is I have a friend of mine that's there, and once he picks them up from the airport, you know what I mean,
Oh, that's nice.
we also if they're familiar with the area, we have cars that we also rent them with the property, you know what I mean, so we rent the cars.
That's amazing.
So we put it all together and package it up nice. We have people who will cook for them if they want to be cooked for. If not, they just want to stay there and be left alone.
That's amazing.
That too.
So that's probably good, like 10 months out of the year, right? Like just like probably the fall is like storm season, right?
Not even, man.
Not even?
We're booked, man, right through. You know, we're in the city, so we're not like a
Okay.
like a tourist destination area. I guess it can be. Some people
Because I
come
know
into
that in the
business.
fall, like we used
It's
to go to St.
hurricane
Martin,
season.
that's like hurricane season.
Yeah,
But
it is.
But if you're in the city, then you have
in the
regular
city
people.
we have regular, so we have
Yeah.
people who just want to come back and visit family, or they're just there business. They're doing business, so it's just they're not really. Most people aren't there on vacation per se. You know what I mean?
So do you have a partner?
Yeah, well, my brother, I guess is my partner.
Does he live there?
No, he doesn't. We
Okay,
both
so
live
you have
here.
like a cleaning crew.
Yeah, we have
that just in and out.
This is how we did it. My mom lives in Jamaica.
Oh, she does.
Yeah, so my mom, she's in charge of. We just do it with the family. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
that's
So
awesome.
she's in charge of. She started a cleaning company, so she hires like a bunch of girls, you know, and they kind of just She just oversees it and runs it like that.
Single family homes, or is it like a multi-unit?
No, they're in the building. They're
Or
in the building. So
building,
it'll be
condos.
they're condo
Oh,
apartments.
sick.
Yeah. So we do
Oh,
it like
that's
that,
amazing.
So it's pretty
So
cool.
there's no like maintenance on the lawn.
no,
or anything.
no,
That's
we don't
kinda
got to worry
nice.
about none of
Yeah.
that. None of that. You know,
I was gonna
it's
say
simple.
snow removal, but that's
Nah,
not
there's
an
no
issue.
snow.
Obviously not.
There's no
Yeah.
snow. Yeah.
No, that's awesome. And then if you have like your family there, that you can all do it together and
Yeah.
stuff. That's really cool.
Exactly.
That's like my family has a place in Long Beach Island, New Jersey. So we're always like, we're not really, it's kind of far from here, but if we find an Airbnb around there, my mom's always there. So then we'll have people that can have eyes on it and can check on it all the time. It's just, when you're
There's just nothing for sale there.
yeah. Of course, like the spots that you would work out for everyone
There's
is
literally
tough.
nothing.
Right now, it's tough anywhere, but
But it's pretty busy all the time, full like during the months.
Pretty much,
All
yeah.
month?
Sometimes I have to block if I want to go down there. I have to like block out days for
Oh,
myself.
you'll use it yourself?
Yeah, I have to block out days.
We
to
don't
stay
use
there.
ours.
yeah.
That we can't afford it.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Because
shoot.
Yeah.
we just say like, because that's like paying whatever it costs that week. I
Mhm.
think of it as that's what we would be paying
Yeah,
instead, because you know what I mean. Instead of addition, it's subtraction.
I don't know. Sometimes I just want
But
to
it's nice to
get away.
too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'll take the L. I'll just take
Yeah,
the L and
yeah.
just block the
Yeah.
days out. Just be like, it is what it is.
We stayed like one night ever.
Yeah. Well, it's different too. We don't like love East Hampton, so
Yeah.
I think if we liked it, if it was somewhere else, we'd probably stay there too.
Well, the Hamptons is supposed to be like really beautiful. No, it's like a lot of like
It's not my cup of tea.
no.
No, man.
We don't really fit in when we go there.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
he'll go in like a jujitsu tank top in the store, and everyone's like all dressed all like
They still are double masked. out
Oh,
there.
yeah?
Like
Really?
double masked. You
I
have
would
to
think it'd be
stand
the
like
opposite.
6 Oh
No, because it's
no,
like
no,
New
no.
York City.
Yeah?
Yeah.
No, yeah. You have to stand like 6 feet, like how it was like March 2020
Mhm.
here. It's like that today there.
Wow.
Like you can't go
Man.
in a store without masks. People are in gloves, shields.
Really?
Yeah.
Swear to God, it's the weirdest
They're
place ever.
supposed to, I think the Hamptons are like usually like very well, I've never been, but like upscale, like
Yeah.
super
It
rich
is.
people. Like, but it's maybe like that nose up in the air type of rich.
Oh.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what
what
I'm
it
saying?
is. Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah, big time.
That's why, like, when we
the
walk
worst.
around, I'm like, we're like, in like jujitsu.
I get in fights all the time.
We were in
Yeah.
jujitsu clothes
Arguments,
and
yeah.
like walking around. We definitely don't fit in there. We're
Oh,
like,
damn.
okay, let's get out of here. So
Yeah,
Like, shit.
but it's not.
good for
It's not for
business,
us.
not
Good for
for
business.
pleasure.
though. It's for Airbnb, you should
Yeah.
look into that. Yeah.
Shoot.
Do you do any other real estate or is flips or anything?
I want to eventually.
It's better to hold them anyway, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really know much about like the real estate game. You know what I mean? When it comes to actually flipping houses, rebuilding them, and
Mhm.
doing stuff like that, like makeover houses. And houses crazy expensive right now, bro.
Well, right now is like I don't
It's
think anyone
nuts.
should be buying.
Yeah.
Because the interest rate's high and the prices haven't come down yet, but they will, I think, soon.
It's like a
People-
cycle, but we got into it like. We got into it and we're like, this is awesome. This is what we're going to start
it
doing.
was
And
like,
then all of a
buy,
sudden,
buy.
everything went up and we're like, oh, wait, no,
Damn.
we could do this last year, but now we can't really do it like
Well,
we
it's
thought.
stupid to do it now.
Yeah, you just got. I mean, with the market and stuff, it's just like cycles. You just got to wait. Wait a couple of years.
I
But
don't
like
know,
when you
man.
want to do it
He-
now, it
like,
sucks.
Like my father-in-law has been telling me that for the longest. He's like, "Oh, just wait, trust me, it's gonna come down, it's gonna crash, and then
You're like, when?
I don't know, man. It's not looking like it's about to crash. It just
Yeah.
keeps going and it keeps going.
Yeah.
I think if like the interest rates go a little higher, then like the high end stuff, it has to come down.
I will
has
see.
to.
I hope so.
Yeah, I hope so
'cause,
too.
damn,
Yeah. But
like people are
either way.
asking for these crazy amounts in general, and then there's other people and these bigger companies that are now buying, like
Yeah,
renting
yeah.
companies,
Mhm.
and they're buying actual homes double the price and like over the asking
Yeah.
price, and then holding them to rent them to people.
Right.
It's like, damn, they're just pushing people out. People are not going to be able to afford to buy homes anymore. It's crazy.
Yeah,
it's
I mean that's
wild.
what's happening now.
Yeah.
That's why like we bought our house like 3 or 4 years ago, and I'm like, oh my god, we got so lucky. Imagine if like we were buying, because this is like our first home. Imagine if we were buying our first home like
Yeah.
now. If you were like didn't have somewhere to live, or you know what I mean, you just had a growing family and you have to get out. You're like, wow, that sucks.
Yeah, that would have been rough.
You see like videos online with people like lining up just for a showing, like lining up around the house.
Yeah.
Like when we went to look at houses, we went one day and we're like, okay, put in like an offer at like asking price, and then we got it. And it was like we were like, oh my God, why does everyone say buying a house is so stressful? And then we're like, we realized we're like, oh my God, we got so lucky, like with how it happened. And the time, timing's just kind of everything.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, that's cool though that you do that. So you move your money from fighting into real estate.
Typically, I try.
That's
I try.
yeah, same.
You know, but you know what it is with fighting. Fighting is like, it's tricky because it's not a lot of money. You know what I mean? It's good money, but it's not like, whoa, it's not life changing money. You know what I mean?
Not one fight.
No,
Like,
not one.
over
Not one
time.
fight. Over time,
Right.
eventually, when you get to the upper levels, or you get that good contract, or you
Mhm.
fight consistently. If you're fighting 3 times a year, then hell yeah,
Then it's good, right?
Yeah.
3 fights a year, you can make a lot of money.
definitely.
But it's so hard.
Oh,
like,
3 fights a year is so hard,
and
bro.
the thing is, you want to fight often because you're not guaranteed like to win, and
Yeah.
it's like, and if you lose, then you're like, well, now I really got to be active because I got to make up for that. Like no one I feel like even though you could explain to people how like if you lose, your paycheck gets cut in half, you can explain that to someone, but I feel like people don't really understand how that works, and it's like the craziest thing.
Because I'm sure when you have a fight lined up, when you're thinking, oh, I'm gonna make, you don't think just your show money. You're thinking your win money too, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you try not
only
to.
think,
Try not
I'm
to.
making this much.
My
Like, that's what it
manager
is.
does that for me.
Yeah.
He'll be like, well, you're guaranteed this. This is what you have,
But
and I'm
you
just like,
probably
and I'm
no,
like,
I'm guaranteed. I'm
nah.
winning.
In my mind, I'm like, yeah, I mean, on this day they say I'm gonna make that, but I'm always thinking I'm gonna win.
Yeah.
But
I think that's a good way to think, though.
For
You
sure.
have to.
for
you
sure.
try to like not like depend on it financially, but you can't help it. It's like,
Yeah. You can't put yourself in a situation where you're like, well, I'm depending on this win side of it in order to, even though if you're supremely confident, but
because then it adds some pressure to you. Like
Yeah.
if I'm
Oh my
gonna
gosh.
starve, I'm gonna lose the house. If you lose the fight,
yeah.
that's not good pressure.
There's
And I've
enough
been there.
pressure already.
Yeah,
I've been there where it was like, early in my UFC days, I know y'all know Andre Harrison, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Me and Andre used to live together. We lived in Elmont back in the day. And I remember we were like months behind on rent. Like it was ridiculous. And I remember I just got signed to the UFC, and it was like, all right, well, it's not much money. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, all right, well, I need 2 checks.
Yeah.
100% need 2
I need
checks.
2
What-
checks like 2 months ago.
Exactly. Like that. I cannot fight, lose, and get 1 check. You know what I mean? And in my mind, I knew that I was gonna have 2 checks. But when I fought, what are the things that you think about when you fight? Sometimes you pretty don't think about anything really. You're just fighting, right?
Mm-hmm.
That fight, I remember he was in on a takedown, and as he's in on the takedown, the first thing that came to my mind, legit, I remember like it was yesterday. I was like, damn. You can't get this takedown because I need 2 checks. Like that was the thing that was on my mind. It's crazy.
So there, maybe pressure helped you.
I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It's so
never
hard.
forgot
I
like
mean, to
that.
put that like, there's so much pressure. Even if you were getting a flat rate, there's still so much pressure because you do it because, obviously you do it because of the money. But you probably, I don't know, I don't want to speak for you, but for me, I know like even if I wasn't getting paid, if I was getting paid the same as I was on the regional scene, I would probably still do it. I would obviously have another job. Like I'd probably have to like work a 9 to 5 and then train at night, but I probably would still do it.
Maybe for me, maybe initially.
Yeah.
I would.
I
I
guess
don't
maybe
think I
not
would have
this
still
long.
been doing it.
Yeah.
Nah, maybe I would have done it like once or twice and be like, yeah, I did that.
Yeah.
But nah, I 100% fight for money at this point. At this point, it's solely money.
Yeah.
You guys pretty much got in the UFC at like the exact same time.
Mhm.
And,
Yeah.
and you've had like 11 fights in the UFC, 12.
I think, yeah.
Once you start losing
know.
track, it's kind of a cool,
I
it's
don't
crazy
know,
thing,
yeah,
right?
That's
Maybe,
good.
yeah.
I mean, it happens like that, right?
Yeah,
It
it's
feels
6
like-
years. 6 years.
Yeah. It probably doesn't feel like that.
Does
though.
I still feel like,
The newbie.
yeah, I don't have a lot of fights, man. I look at all my friends that box, and
Yeah,
like all
that's
the
different.
boxers I came up with, and I'm looking at them, and they're killing it, and I'm like, yo, 300 amateur fights, and now dude's got 20, 30 something fights, and I'm over here still. We all started the same time, you know what I mean? And I'm
Yeah.
like, yeah, well, I got 18 fights, and that's not a lot of fights at all. That's not a lot of fights.
Yeah.
Yeah, not if you're hanging around boxers.
It's
for
different for
sure.
boxers.
Yeah.
But they can
But
fight
still.
like they can fight.
They fight
more-
weekly and shit
Yes,
like that. Yeah.
exactly. It's definitely different for them, but yeah, we got in around the same time, and I know we talked about it, it's like it's weird being like, wow, you're like a veteran now.
Yeah, that's
And
what
it's
they say.
That's what they say. And like sometimes I'm like, wait, I don't like that. That makes me first of all, that makes me feel kind of old.
Yeah.
But I don't know when that clicked. Like when and maybe it still hasn't clicked for you that like, oh, I'm not new in the UFC. I've been here. People know me and I'm like super experienced. And people that are, you're going to have some people fighting you that are like, oh, wow, he's had so many more fights than me. He's more experienced. And it's like, I just still remember I remember my first UFC fight, getting like my first gear bag and being so amped with all the clothes and then being like,
now it just clutters your
and
house.
now I'm like, oh my gosh, I
100%.
already gave all these away. But I remember at the time thinking, I'm like, oh my God, has like 8 UFC fights. They've gotten these like 8 times. That's insane. And now it's like, we're like past that. It's so crazy.
It is. It really is. And I didn't realize I was a veteran until I heard Dana say it. Dana, like he did like if you know those things he does where it's like if you don't know now you know. And then he was like, he did this whole thing on Chaos and all that. And then he was like, but Randy Brown, the veteran. And I was just like, what?
You're like, wait, what?
I was like, what? I was like, all right, well, I guess I'm a veteran.
Well, I feel like the last 2 fights, the Oliveira fight and then Chaos, those 2 fights, I felt like you got a lot of momentum from.
For sure.
Like Chaos, hasn't been around long time, but he has a lot of like highlights.
He's knocking people
and
out.
people like were really
He's well
high
known.
on him. He was like a big, someone to look out for.
For sure.
And then Oliveira was like almost like a legendary fighter. He had so many fights, and you had like a finish over him, and then like a great win over Chaos. I feel like, and you had a win before that too. So you're on 3 in a row.
Jared Gooden.
Yeah. So 3 in a row. That's a lot of momentum.
Yeah.
Especially
That's when
at
it
the welterweight.
starts getting momentum. You know?
Yeah. Especially at welterweight.
Because if you win 5 in a row, you're like in the mix. Like
you're
you're
right
gonna
up
be.
there.
That's like where
If you were to win 2 more, you'd be definitely in the top.
Yeah, probably
7.
top 10, I'd say, or something like that.
Yeah.
With just 2 more fights.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
But it also depends on who you fight, I think. I don't want to fight into the rankings yet. They call me a veteran, but I mean, I feel like I could. 100%. I know that I could. There's guys I know I could compete. But I want more money, man. Like I said, I fight for money. So it's like it would be unwise for me to jump in and first of all, you fight less when you're in the rankings because everyone's trying to protect their number. You know what I mean?
Caitlin.
I don't really have a choice. There's not as many girls. There's a lot more welterweights than girls.
Yeah, it's different for the women, I think.
Yeah.
But you fought a lot of like name guys though, like Bilal Muhammad, Vicente Luque.
Nico
Wally
Price,
Alvarez has a win over Colby Covington. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
Then you've submitted him.
For sure.
And who else? Barbarino is a big name. He just beat Matt Brown.
Yeah.
You fought a lot of like name guys.
I have.
Even what's his name? Like Mickey Gall.
Oh yeah,
is popular.
Yeah.
Nico Price is popular.
I fought a lot of killers, man.
They
just throw me at these guys. You know what I mean? I don't know, but I don't mind it. I just kind of. The thing is, I've struggled to get momentum in the UFC in the past. I just feel like I had bad luck, bro. Like
I think you got it now.
Yeah, now I definitely got it. But I've won 2. I've always won 2. Then I lost,
and
I'm like, damn. Then they put me against someone and I beat them and I won 2. Then I lost, and I'm like, damn. Then I won 2 again. If you look at my whole thing, then I lost. I'm like, damn.
Me and Gregor always talk about that. That type of fighter though usually has a long career.
Yeah,
because you never get fight 2. I mean, that's not what it's happening for you. You're surging now, but. If you win 1, lose 1, win 1, lose 1, you don't usually get cut. You just stay forever.
Keep floating
there's
along.
Fighters like like Gian was kind of like that. You know, they stay a long time.
John was around. He was a veteran. He's been around a long.
Yeah.
He had like probably 18 UFC fights.
He was in
20?
Strikeforce.
Before
Like that's
that,
great. That was
That's
like before he
nuts.
was
you're
even
starting
watching.
to get paid though if that many fights.
Yeah.
You know,
you just accumulate it, but that's a long career.
yeah.
Like,
You don't.
Absolutely.
You'd like to climb. I'm
yeah.
sure.
For sure. And now I think I'm in that position. I think with a lot of my losses, I got super unlucky, man. Like people don't realize like when I don't really speak about it much is because when you say certain, especially in the MMA community, you know how it is, right? If you say something, people just look at it as an excuse. So a lot of stuff, you just got to eat it. You
know, and you're like, whatever. I know what happened, so that's
yeah,
all that
I mean,
matters.
so it's
You're
like
not
it
going to
is what it
convince
is.
like
You can't say anything, or you're just gonna look stupid and salty. So, but now that where I'm at now, I can speak on it. And I never ever want to discredit Vicente Luque. That's a bad motherfucker. That dude is bad, right? But what I will say is my weight cut was completely destroyed. Do
you cut a lot of weight? You're big.
Yeah, you know, I do cut a lot of weight sometimes. It depends on where I'm at. You know what I mean? For the Luque fight, that was the first event back from COVID. So
Yeah,
I worked out in my backyard. I trained with no training partners.
That's
you know
a
what I
tough
mean?
fight for that
I just hit the
situation.
bag. I just hit the bag, and then I just showed up. Right?
Yeah.
Barely even hit pads, did nothing. And then when we got there, everything was so different.
Yeah.
Right? Everything was different. They were like, and now the way
Just
we're
threw
cutting
you off,
weight,
probably.
the way the rehydration process and all that threw
You're
me off.
working out you're cutting weight and working out in a hotel room.
Yeah, it was all different, right? Completely
Was that
different.
the Apex you fought him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it was a bubble that we were in. It was just completely different. So my weight, I ruined the weight cut. I just messed everything up. And then I remember the morning waking up, my heart rate was just like, we did our little shakeout, and my heart rate, I wear my heart rate monitor a lot. I always have my heart rate monitor, right? And my heart rate monitor, that morning of my workout, I was just in the red. I started hitting pads, and I just shot to red within the first like 2 minutes of the workout.
Why is that? Do they say
Dehydration?
You didn't hydrate enough.
Didn't hydrate enough. Cut too much weight and never hydrated properly.
That
All right?
sucks.
I was cooked.
And then you know that you're like, oh,
then
I'm
it
not.
fucks with your head too.
I'm
'Cause
not
you know
feeling
you're
good,
not feeling
but
good.
what are you gonna do?
You have to
I'm
lie to
there.
yourself and
I'm
be like,
there.
I'm there
It's
to
like
win.
you can't go anywhere. You're
You
there.
can't be like, hey, my heart, which you should be able to say that because it's such a big thing.
But then that affects your career down the road.
Yeah.
They're gonna be like, yo, he's not reliable, and then I don't want that, you know. So what we chalked it up to was, you cut a lot of weight, you went through it, just take a nap.
Yes.
Take a nap, right, and recover. You'll be all right later tonight. And I'm like, all right, cool. Later tonight comes.
Adrenaline will work.
Later in the night. And now, my sensei is very stoic, and he doesn't really speak a lot. He's very like, he doesn't panic. And I knew shit was fucked up when I seen the look on his face, and he walked away from me while we were warming up. I was getting gassed in my warm up. You ever been gassed in your warm up?
No.
That's fucking scary. And I'm about to fight the number 10 guy in the world, right? My first opportunity to break into the rankings. And I'm like, damn, all right, well. When he walks away from me, he's talking to like Matt and everybody else in the corner. And I see them. I see that they're panicking, but they're trying not to show me.
Yeah, you read
but I
right
know
through
it.
that.
I read right through that shit. And I'm like, all right, fuck it. So I remember I walked over to the bag, and I just kind of, the workout section in the Apex. I walk over to the bag, and I just start touching the bag, and I just told myself, like, listen, you've been in camps where you've been tired, you've been exhausted, and you had to keep pushing. You're gonna fight tired tonight.
Yeah, but
just fight.
Yeah,
just fight. It is what it. Get through it. Now you're not fighting to win. You're fighting to survive. Right?
You're just trying to get through it.
Yeah, you're just trying to get through it. It's terrible. So I go in there. I'm looking like I'm faking the funk. Like I'm ready to go. Right? Vicente comes out. I'm watching the fight. I'm super slow. I have no explosiveness. I'm tired within the first 2 minutes. I look up at the clock. You can see me looking up at the clock. If you're looking up at the clock in round one, you're fucked.
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I'm looking up at the clock like, oh shit. Right?
You look and it says like
14
250. You're like, wait, it's not even halfway.
Bro, it was
God.
insane. And I also remember I couldn't take everything he touched me with. I was just like, whoop. I would just I wouldn't even be hurt. And I would just like, whoop. My legs would just give out. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Every time he touched me, I would just whoop. And I had no fluids in my brain. They said I was like, so after
step behind,
he finished me, right? We go to the hospital, and they cleared me in the hospital. I go home now, right? Well, we had an Airbnb and everything, so we went to Airbnb, and we're all there, and I had to pee, and when I peed, next morning I was peeing black.
Really?
Yeah, it was
black.
Just black. It was just a black clouds of black in my pee.
Oh my God!
All right, so
I hadn't heard of that.
So now Matt's already left, so he's on the plane. They're all back, and I call him, and they're like, I told him, and they called the UFC doctor, and the UFC doctor was like, you need to go to the hospital right now. I can get you in.
They didn't give you IVs that night when
No.
you went to the hospital?
No. So
They probably were just like checking your
yeah,
brain.
they just checked my brain, my eyes. They were like,
Yeah.
oh, nope, he's good. They did like the concussion protocol, and
Wow.
I actually was okay. They were like, oh, you're good.
think
Well,
at
just
that-
because you don't have a concussion, there's a lot of other things
Yeah,
that can go wrong.
exactly. So I went now and went to the hospital, and the doctor's like, I don't know, you shouldn't even be able to walk around, much less, you competed. And I'm like, yeah.
So then what did they give you IVs then?
They gave me IVs, a bunch of they gave me water pills, and then they put they give me like this big IV with what is it, lactate ringers or something like that they called it. I don't know. But
extra stuff.
So
Yeah.
now, do you have like a specific protocol, like rehydration protocol you
Absolutely.
follow? She
Absolutely.
has a real strict
It's-
one.
Yeah.
I'm drinking
It's probably
so
similar.
much water.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's
But
about
then the salt too, right?
yes,
You need to have
gotta have
the
salt to retain. Not too much to be over bloated, but I drink 2 full Pedialytes. I drink about I put a little bit of salt, Himalayan salt, in a big gallon,
Mhm.
and I down that first gallon. Then I drink the second gallon, right? And then so I'm 2 gallons in one day, right? And then the next day, leading up all the way up to the fight, I'm just sipping. Sipping tons of water. I'm drinking coconut waters. I'm just flushing my body completely. There's not.
What do you like to weigh the day of the fight?
Probably about the day of the fight. Not much. 84, 85.
Was that all?
Yeah, people look at me and think I'm huge the night of, but I'm not.
I would have thought more
It's
than
like
that.
the tall,
for sure.
tall people problems. They're always like, "Oh, you're so much bigger." It's like,
It's my legs.
all right, I'm taller. You know what I mean? Sometimes people.
Well, I mean, you put on a lot though.
Well, yeah,
before
the last like 2 or 3. I've been putting on more weight for
Yeah.
it, but even still, sometimes in fights, I've more so my previous fights. I feel like now I am bigger, but they'd be like, "Oh, you're so much bigger." I'm like, I'm just taller. Look at I'm like these girls. I'm
Yeah.
like their legs are like twice
Yeah,
the
huge.
size.
Exactly.
We're not if you're boxing, it's good, but
I mean,
It
being
sucks.
tall definitely helps.
Oh, it definitely
A
helps.
little.
There's
There's pros and cons. Both,
Especially if you can
both
move.
ways.
With both of you guys have movement and
Mhm.
length, I think that's a pretty big advantage.
For sure. But
If you're just
motherfucker
tall but you
snatches
can't
your leg.
move, then it's
Yeah.
not so
Yeah,
good.
that sucks.
But then when
But
you're
you guys
against,
both have. I think that's like your
Yeah,
best
that's-
attribute.
Yeah, we footwork.
Footwork.
Yeah.
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 but once you're against the cage and someone's pushing you against a cage and they're shorter, they're underneath of you.
Yeah, you're just like
You're
on your
like,
toes
they're like,
this.
oh, it's so hard because I can't lift. I'm like, you
Yeah.
just have to. You're underneath the person. Sometimes when they get under, you can't like meet them under. There's certain positions that it's.
It's a disadvantage.
Yeah.
Like with Gregor, if Gregor's on my hips, what Gregor does, he picks my legs up and puts them over his head and starts to run.
Yeah.
It's just my legs
He's
are
pretty
over
good
his
when he
head.
gets to the leg.
Yeah,
My legs
yeah,
are
yeah.
over his
Yeah,
head.
he's different.
Luckily though, like most people aren't like him though.
Yeah,
with that.
for
He's
sure.
kind
when
of like
he gets on a leg, it's like he like puts his chest on the leg.
He's
it feels like you're
relentless.
gonna rip your leg off.
yeah.
He's relentless.
He's like
Yeah.
drilled stuff on me. I'm like, okay, I got it. You don't need to keep
He
doing it.
squeezes so hard.
Yeah.
Man,
So when you were growing up, did you play? Did you do like track and field?
I did.
Because I see
That's
like
the
your
national
training
sport.
videos, and I see like how high you jump, and like I could tell,
Mhm.
like you do. I could tell that's some
Yeah.
type of
I
background.
and it's funny in Jamaica. That's just like everyone runs track. It's just like the thing that every
Mhm.
kid does.
Yeah, yeah.
You run track growing up, and I ran track all the way up until some high school.
You
know.
probably developed a lot of athleticism.
I
through
did.
that,
I
though,
did. It
right?
was great. I'm fast. I run pretty fast still. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
But I
And
wasn't
jumping
fast enough.
ability. Yeah,
I wasn't fast
Yeah.
enough. But when I decided to fight, I feel like I broke my mom's heart. You know what I mean? Because she wanted me to be this runner. You know what I
Usain
mean?
Bolt.
It was like, yeah, everyone wants to be Usain Bolt. You know what I mean? At that time, for me growing up, it was Asafa Powell.
Oh, I remember him.
Everybody
Yeah.
wanted to be like Asafa Powell. You know what I mean? And when I got into fighting, she
Did
was
you fight
destroyed.
at all in Jamaica, or just when you
I
came
boxed
here?
a little bit.
little.
I boxed a little bit there, and then when I came up here, I continued. But
And you've kind of been with the same coach forever, right?
Yeah,
He's your only coach.
my only coach.
Oh, that's awesome.
yeah,
That's great.
I started out at I actually met him from Henzo's.
Yeah.
My first jiu-jitsu coach was Daniel Gracie, and that's
Oh,
that's
yeah.
where we
Mhm.
met. We
Yeah,
met at
yeah.
Henzo's, and we trained for a while. And then after I wanted to fight, Henzo Gracie Academy is great for jiu-jitsu, best jiu-jitsu
Especially
in the
back
world.
then.
Yeah, man. I
Yeah.
was, I had Gordon Ryan, Gary Tonin, all these guys. Like, I'm just rolling with them on a regular every day.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a fight academy though.
No,
It's not a fight academy.
definitely not.
So I needed to find.
It's like just Dave Branch.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
It's like a couple people that are already good that are sparring.
Dave's
yeah,
really
and
good,
you jump
but-
in. You
Yeah.
know, Dave
He's the only
Branch.
one.
Get a couple
Joao.
rounds in before jujitsu.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He was good too, yeah.
Exactly.
Sapo. And
Yeah,
sometimes
those
Corey.
are the guys
Yeah, I
that
guess
were
there
around
was a
at that
couple.
time.
I always just think of Dave Branch as the
Yeah.
only.
There was like a lot
There
of
was
like,
but the thing
bigger
is,
guys.
it wasn't. They all had their separate things, and we just came and sparred on that day.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I needed a coach who was actually gonna teach me mixed martial arts. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I was just a skinny, long, super brash. I was just one of those kids who always I want everybody to know that I was gonna fight. You know, I'm a
Mhm.
fighter, and I'm gonna be this guy. I was just super. I had a lot of what do they say, wide-eyed and bushy-tailed, right?
yeah.
And I would just had my 1-1-2 from boxing. That 1-1-2, and I thought I was a shit, right?
I'll tell you what though, your grappling is underrated. I mean, you have more finishes through grappling than you do,
I do.
striking in the UFC.
I do. That came from
Like a
being
lot more.
at Henzo Gracie Academy.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? And
you've
then
strangled a lot of people.
meeting my coach, Sensei Nardu, he's a black belt under Henzo.
Yeah.
So
I've trained with him.
yeah, he's pretty good. So I was able. He took me under his wing. He happened to have a gym that was nearby my house, And I was like, oh, all right, that works. So I just started
Yeah.
training with him. You know,
But
and then he
but-
showed me mixed martial arts.
Definitely like under. People always think you're a kickboxer.
They do, but we got to
Your
keep that up.
grappling
We got to
is
keep that
really
on the
good.
low.
I
It's
mean,
like,
I don't know
go
if you
ahead.
can keep it on the low too much longer.
Yeah, yeah.
I
You've
love
got a lot
that.
of finishes.
I love that. And for some reason, they'll look at me
Off
and
your
they
back,
just
everything.
don't think I have grappling. I'm like, all right.
Why is that?
I have no idea. And I maybe because of the way I look as a striker, people are like,
Yeah,
oh,
I
this
think you're
guy's really
striking.
good.
You have such a unique style that it's not, you know what I mean? So then people just kind of remember that mostly. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
That one, like against Oliveira, the one arm guild or the one arm. Did you get a performance bonus for that?
I didn't.
That's fucked up.
I did.
You should
Yeah.
have.
I only got one. You know, all the fights I have. I feel like
Well, I
there's
just
always,
got my first
Which
one.
fight
That
was?
was my first one.
Which
yeah.
fight was that?
Finally.
I got it again in Brazil against Warley Alves.
Oh yeah, well that's good too.
It's
yeah.
the moment. You know, I think it's more than just the performance. It's like the moment. You know, it was.
He's
like,
probably a big celebrity.
he
there,
was a
too.
big star,
Yeah.
and then they were
Just-
screaming that I'm gonna die, and then you know,
Yeah.
and then it was just the place was so loud.
That
and
must have
like,
been
they were
cool,
going
though.
crazy, yeah. And then I just silenced it. It was quiet for like 30 seconds.
That's
It's crazy
so
how like
cool.
other countries get behind their fighters so much more. Like the girl she just fought has like 1.8 million Instagram followers. Like because they're like if you're from Brazil or from Russia or you just have an
They're gonna
influx of
jump on it.
fans.
America is. I think
There's
we have
too many
so many
stars,
sports,
Too many sports.
so many different sports. So it's like it's separated, and we have a culture of just kind of like if somebody. It's a weird thing. It's like we're always beating this person down and beating
Mhm.
that. Oh,
Oh,
this
yeah,
guy
yeah.
sucks. Like this guy
Yeah.
is
Against
terrible.
you,
You know what I
yeah.
mean? It's like
Yep.
what you like. One day you slip. And if you slip, you slide. That's it. They're like,
Mhm.
this guy's terrible.
Yeah.
You know. Whereas some other countries, it's like, this is our guy. You know what I mean?
They're
No matter
nicer.
what, we're gonna back him. You know. Oh man, you didn't get it this time, but we're behind you. We got to do what you got to do for the next one. We're gonna kill the next guy. You know.
It's hard to build like a fan base though.
It is.
Like we talk about this all the time. How some people like blow up and then like it just takes a while for other people. Then sometimes it just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Well, in
Like,
the
you
U-
have so many fights and then they're like, why don't people into me?
in the UFC, like I would my first couple of fights, I would wear the Armenian flag because my last name's Armenian. My dad's side is Armenian, and
They
when
love
I
you.
got in the UFC, I was
Mhm.
like my first win. I remember posting my Instagram picture, like just won my first UFC fight. All the comments were Armenian flags. I was like, what the hell? I'm like, this is so weird. I was like, and it was like the same thing. They just knew I was Armenian, didn't care anything about me. And they just saw that and they were like,
They just love
we
you.
support you. This is awesome. Plus, too, there's not that many like Armenian people in the
Especially
world. So
female fighters.
Yeah,
too.
well,
sure.
yeah, no, there's like
some male, but
pretty, yeah,
no
pretty much
female.
none. And so then I was like, dude, I'm like, these people are so supportive, and they were like, DM me nonstop, like, can you please raise the flag, please
Yeah.
for us, we support you. And I was like, oh my god, all these people are, and I would wear the flag, and some people are like, oh, what now you're Armenian, like you're American. I was like, dude, all the Americans are telling me they hope I die. I'm like, people from my hometown aren't even rooting for me. Like
Yeah.
my small hometown don't even root for me. So I was like, these people are like, thank you so much for the support, like thanking me, like I'm doing something. I'm like, the least I could do is like hold a flag to
Yeah,
like make
for
the
sure,
people
for
that
sure.
support me happy. But now you're not allowed to carry any flags.
No, it's so
No more
weird. I
flags.
don't know what that was about.
Yeah.
You know, but
So I was like, all right, now no one can get mad at me for whatever flag I put up.
people have DM'd me too. They're like, where were you born? Like interrogate, where were you born?
Yeah.
Where were you born? And I'm like, bro, like it says it on the Wikipedia.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
Springfield,
I'm not
Mass, bro.
lying.
It's Springfield, Mass.
Yeah.
You're like, but you're American, right? But like, where do you know me from?
Yeah.
What do you know about me? Where do you know me from? Like, what do you know about my story? You don't know anything.
Yeah.
You're just going off of what what it said on the internet. You have
And getting
no
that
clue.
emotional about
You're
it.
going off, and I'm like, hey, good for you. Because when I go back to my country where the people, support me, guess what? They all love me and support me. And I have people that I've grew up with, stories and places that teachers that taught me in schools that I've been to. It's like, so whatever this person says is like,
Mm-hmm.
watch out, man.
Yeah. I mean, obviously people are always going to say like terrible things. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? That's just how it is.
Yeah. It's hard to build, but now you have a podcast too, right?
Yep.
And you've been doing more stuff. Gregor told me you're on Twitch.
Yeah,
You
I'm
do a
on-
lot of like promotion stuff now.
I
right?
do. It's funny.
You getting traction?
I am. It's so weird, right? It's like I have a Discord, right? And I've created a Discord is basically you create your own community. You can create your own little. I call it a little cult, right?
Mhm.
These are the people who are always going to support you. Right now, we have almost 1,000 members.
This
Wow.
is
And
from a YouTube channel or
No, a Discord is
everywhere?
a server.
Oh,
It's just
okay.
a server that people use where.
Do you know about this, Zane? Yeah. Why don't we have one?
You can tell me and Kyle are so bad.
So
We're
you
like,
have a Discord.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So you basically just share it, and people who I'm sure you have your hardcore fans who always support you,
yeah.
right? And you know people who are always going to support you through thick and thin. These are the people who are going to stand by you. They're going to support you. They're going to buy your stuff. They're going to they're going to post. They're going to look at your YouTube. They're going to comment on your YouTube. They're going to comment on your pictures on Instagram. They're just always there. They just like you for you.
So is it like a message board or?
It's kind of a message board.
Yeah.
It's a community, and how I started mine is I was on Twitch, and there's a command !Discord, and you can make different commands or whatever. And as you start to meet people and talk to people, you just build different relationships and connections with other people that are who just like your content. You know what I mean, or like you as a fighter.
Is your podcast on YouTube?
I got 2 episodes on YouTube, but I don't typically upload them. They're like too long.
Okay.
So
it's on
it's
like
on Twitch. Twitch. I do it on Twitch, mostly on Twitch.
Not
but
on Apple or Spotify?
Yeah, it is
Oh,
on
it's on there too.
Spotify and Apple as well. You can listen to
What's
it
the
as
name
well.
of your podcast?
It's called The Pro and the Bro.
And it's going good?
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty. I'm surprised people want to hear me talk because I just.
Do you talk about fights or what do you talk about?
So yeah, on Fridays we break down fights, and I think a lot of people want locks, so they come for the locks.
For-
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Picks?
Yeah, the picks.
It's hard to pick a fight.
Yeah, they come for
It's
the
hard to
picks.
pick one
It is
winner.
hard, but
if you break it down, then it's like, I think if you do something where you break down the fights and what you think of it and then give your pick, that's more beneficial than just giving your pick because
exactly.
then if you give your breakdown, if you're like, I think this person's going to win because of this, this, and this, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know that.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Well, I might go with the other person based off
and
what
that's
you
what
said.
people like. That's what people like because that's what you give them a different perspective. What I do is I won't give you a lock. I'll give you here's who I think should win. The pro gives you his. The bro gives you his.
Are you guys usually
Right.
on the same page?
More often than not, but sometimes no. Right. So but
He's
people
a
like
friend,
that.
just a friend?
It's my brother-in-law.
Oh, your brother-in-law.
Yeah, he's my brother-in-law. He's hilarious, and he's just random as hell. Right. He's supposed to be doing jiu-jitsu and he doesn't come, and when he does come, he does everything wrong. So we put like the clips of him and put like stupid music over him
That's
trying to
super
do
funny.
jiu-jitsu, right?
Yeah.
But
So-
then you guys get off on tangents too.
Yeah,
probably,
we get
like
off on these
random stuff.
random ass, long ass tangents, and it's cool. It's cool. But what's good is when I break down the fights, I'm super objective, right? I would say these are my picks, but I'll give you 3 locks who I'm guaranteed to think is gonna win, and here's why I think these people are gonna win. And these are typically people that I know is gonna win because of this. Sometimes I get it wrong,
Of
right?
course.
We all
I
do.
mean, it's
But
If not, you just do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yep. And people always going back and forth with me like, "Oh, you're crazy." And during the show, I actually watched the chat and I engage in the chat during the show because the show's live.
I like that.
And then they all join the Discord at the end. I'll say, "Hey, join the Discord and continue the conversation." And we all chat all day. They go all day in there.
That's
You
cool.
know, and then that creates a community. Whenever you go live, they get a message that goes to them first that, hey, we're live. Whenever I post a YouTube video, it goes to them first. It says, hey, YouTube video is up. Whenever I have new merch, it gets posted in there. Everything. Whenever they dropped a Panini card for me, and I told them, hey, go buy this Panini card because when we become world champion, it's going to be worth a lot. And they only had 200. My Discord bought a shit ton of them. You know what I mean? And like, that's how you do it. You create the communities, and these people, you constantly chat with them. It's like, cool. Like they can just text you.
Right.
Yeah.
And you just jump in and you chat. They're watching the fights like, oh shit, did you guys see that? They love that,
yeah, that's
because
cool.
you're a fighter. So it's cool for them, and then you just build it,
That's one thing I like about, like, since we started ours, when I was like, I don't know I didn't know what to expect. I'm like, are people going to want to listen? I don't know. So we just started it. And it's cool then when you hear people tell you like, oh, I listen to your podcast. I really like it. It like is so awesome because I'm like, really? You do? I'm like, okay. Because we had no expectations. We were just
having fun.
Yeah. And that's the thing. We're doing it for fun. I'm so used to Instagram and Instagram,
instant gratification where it's like,
and like Instagram, like, because of fighting, you get a boost in followers, but like
They have to really like you to listen to
your
a podcast.
podcast.
That's
Yeah.
an hour.
Yes.
Like a picture, if you just post a picture of like, a sunset, you'll get 5,000 likes, just
Well,
because
think
everyone
about-
just like I
It's
like
easy.
anything.
I like me
anyone
too.
posts.
I just
Yeah.
But to
like
listen
it.
to an hour podcast, you have to really
You have
be
to
interested
enjoy
in
it.
them.
Yeah.
100%. The thing is,
It's much more valuable.
it
fan
is.
base.
It is.
Yeah.
But it's hard to track it.
So hard.
It's hard to track it and to know. So some days, how I knew when we were doing well, I was like, all right, well, because it's live. So you look at the viewership, but it's like, all right, well, we got 60, 70 people. That's not really a lot. So in your mind, you're like, I'm not doing so well, right? But then maybe you miss an episode.
And people ask.
People are like,
Yes.
you're getting messages,
that
you know what I
happens
mean?
us
You're
too
getting
now.
like, people are like, yo, no show today? What's up? You know, you're like, oh.
It's like super flattering.
Yeah,
You're like,
you're
oh,
like,
you guys care? That's
You're
awesome.
like, oh, okay.
Are you good at editing? Do you do your own videos or do you have
No,
someone do it?
my fiance, she does. She's a videographer.
Oh, that's
and,
amazing.
So I got lucky, and she does all my editing, all my stuff that I put out. She does everything.
We got really lucky with Zane too, because we can't do anything. Like, we started it and it was just like recording it.
I recorded our
You
first
know.
like 10 episodes on our iPhone, like the record thing.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, until Zane came, we couldn't edit anything out.
Nothing.
So it was one shot. Let's
Oh,
go.
it's right
We'd
through.
have like the ice cream man like, drive by our house, and you would hear it in the back.
That's how it starts.
Yeah.
That's how it starts. Same thing for me. It was the same thing. We were in the backyard, and the audio was horrible.
Yeah.
The camera quality was shit. You know what I mean? The angles all off. The camera's crooked.
Yeah.
But, and then you work it out. So
It's better just to do it and get it started and stuff and see what you like. And
absolutely.
But once you get those like clips and stuff, that helps too, right? You
For
put
sure.
them on Instagram
For
and
sure.
crossover.
I just started doing that. I didn't do that at all, but then
I think it's a good
there's so
idea.
much value in that, you
Yeah.
know, YouTube shorts.
Especially like if your fiance is good at making those videos, that you could do like, like Zane does like cool things like what we're talking about. Then I'll put a picture of that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Make it like almost like a story.
What was hilarious for me, a clip that I remember, and I think it was Gregor or you, one of you guys put in your story, and it was just Gregor telling a story about him shoveling the snow.
Oh my
And
God.
he's screaming at the top of his lungs, and he's like, "Don't be a fucking pussy!"
Yeah.
And he's just
Yeah.
digging the snow, and because I know him,
Yeah.
I'm like, that is fucking hilarious. In my mind, I'm like, yo, that's so funny because I can see him doing that,
Yeah.
and it's just
And people that don't know him probably think he's exaggerating.
Yeah.
I'm like, no,
He's
no,
not.
he's
He-
probably
he was
it's probably
doing that.
worse than what he's saying, actually.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, but those clips that made me interested. That made me want to
cool.
go see what it is. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So, and
Yeah.
then when you hit me up, I was like, yeah, I'll come on for sure.
No, I saw a clip, and I thought it was your podcast with Felix Levine.
Yeah,
And the reason I know of him is because you said you're friends with him, right?
yeah,
I was for a while obsessed with. He did a podcast with like these gangsters. Do you know about that?
I know that podcast.
Johnny
Yeah,
A.
yeah.
For like the first 3 or 4 episodes, I was like, "This is amazing. This is
I
the
went
craziest
to,
like ever."
like,
I was going in like rabbit holes of like just gangsters.
She
Yeah.
went into
And
like
I
a
was
4-month rabbit
so
hole,
into it.
all that.
But now I don't know if he still does it with them. They just ran out of material
yeah.
because you could only
told
tell
the
like
entire
stories of like killing all these people
For so long,
then once you say it, like they're not interesting people.
but I'm
They
sure
have
it
an
is-
interesting decade of their
Yes.
life.
Yeah,
But if you could only talk about your fights, it'd be pretty limited,
Yeah,
right? You
for
only have
sure.
18 fights.
for sure.
He
for
talks
sure.
about like 18 people he killed, but that's
And-
it.
I'm
Yeah.
sure there's more, but there's things now that he can't talk about as well. You know what I
Maybe,
mean? He has
yeah,
to talk about the
yeah.
things that he's already got caught for.
But so I don't
Yeah.
think Felix does it with him anymore. It
Hmm.
doesn't look like, or does he?
no, I think I'm not sure. When I
Are you
spoke with him, it
familiar
was
with
just-
that podcast though?
I am. I
Yeah.
did see it. I saw the first 2 episodes of that. Even if you go to his YouTube, it's like the first one.
Yes.
I forget the guy's name.
John
but he-
Alite.
Yes.
I was like,
Yeah.
I know everyone and everything. He's not so obsessed.
I was
with that.
obsessed with it for like a month. I was like, this
Yeah.
is amazing. It's so good. And then that kid, I was like, then he had there's this other gangster, Michael Franchise.
Nah.
You know him?
I don't.
He
know
had him
Michael
on his
Franchise.
podcast. It was over 1 million views. That
Wow,
Felix, yeah.
bro.
But I've watched
he
a
does
few.
a good
He
job.
does a good job.
He does a very good
He's
job.
got good guests.
And
But he's into MMA, obviously.
he's into MMA. I didn't even know. Actually, how I knew him prior to just like in passing, and not like I had like this crazy relationship with him. But my management actually reached out to me. It was like, hey, would you like to get on a podcast with sit down and talk to Felix Levine? And I was like, oh yeah, I've seen Felix's stuff. I know Felix, you know,
Mhm.
just through Instagram and shit like
Mhm.
that. And then he reached out. I was like, bro, I'm excited to have you on. So then I went on, and that was
Yeah,
it. But
I
he
saw some
asks
of your
great
clips with him.
questions. He asks
He's
good
a
questions.
good interviewer.
He is. It's
I was
like this. It's a
obsessed with his
conversation.
podcast for like a couple months, and then they ran out of material.
Damn.
Yeah.
And then not because of him.
Yeah,
The-
it's just it's different. You
Yeah.
know, sometimes you got to pivot and you got to start to reach out to
Yes.
new guests and more other intriguing people. You know.
Yeah, it was interesting.
This is totally random, but for your last fight, I just remember now because when I saw you fight, I was like, you did this one thing, and I was like, oh my god, like I don't really see other people do that, and I do it. when you like, this is totally random. I just you like will throw like a right hand and then that same hand come back with a back fist.
Oh yeah.
Like that.
Dude, that's
And
your move.
I love that, and I like do that all the time. And I don't know why people don't really do that much. And but I saw you doing your fight, and I was like, because I'm always like, we do have like very similar styles. When you did that, I'm like, of course Randy does that so slick. I was like, yes. I was like, that's awesome. And that I did that one in my in my last fight.
They talked about it a lot.
Yeah, they were like, "Oh my
that's
god,
disrespectful when you do that."
They're like, "Oh, that was
It's
disrespectful."
like a backhand, like,
but I love doing that. Like right hand, you keep it out, and then whether that lands or not, you just do
Just
like
slap
one
'em.
little bit extra.
I stole it. You know where I stole it from?
Huh?
I stole that from Andre Arlovsky versus Travis Brown.
They said
They
Arlovsky does that.
literally
They said
said
that.
that,
I
in
stole
the-
that from him.
Yeah.
They're like, Andre Arlovsky does that just
But during my fight, they're
her
like,
fight.
"Yeah, they said that. That's so funny."
That's crazy. I didn't hear. You know what's crazy? I don't know. This is another thing random as hell, but I watch most fights. I watch them in silence.
Oh, really?
I don't listen to the comment. I like mute the TV and I watch it. That way, I'm never
swayed
or influenced or biased by what they're saying. Because sometimes they get it wrong. Like sometimes they.
Well, when you watch
exaggerate
your
things.
fights, like I know, like when I watch my own fights, and sometimes the stuff they say, I'm like, "What are they? That didn't happen."
Yeah.
Or like that's not. Or they'll be like, "Oh, that was a nice right hand," and like talking about the other person. I'm like, they didn't even touch me.
Didn't touch you.
Like,
And,
what?
and it's always like sometimes there's favoritism sometimes too, and I see it mostly when I watch my own fights because I'm really like invested. And then I've learned like, you know what, if you start watching the fights like silent, you actually get a better understanding because it's like it's all just your it's everything. It's your knowledge. Trust your knowledge of fighting.
Yeah.
Right. And
we
fans,
probably know more than most of
yeah,
them. Not
we know
all
more,
of them, but
we know a lot more than a lot of these people, So
Yeah.
it's like, you know what, just watch it. And when you watch it, then once they're making the decision, you turn it up, and then you listen to what they say and what people are saying. And you're like, actually, I had my own conclusion that I came to, you know what I mean, from watching it. And then you read the comments and you're like, okay, that lets you know where people stand in the realm of fighting. Yeah, a lot more.
Well, you know what's interesting is I think people don't know what they want in fighting.
They don't.
Because like a lot of times, like this weekend, did you watch the Holly Holm fight?
I didn't watch it.
Okay,
but
so
I heard it was pretty bad, and I saw the stats.
There was very like critical of the decision. They thought it was like the worst decision ever, and a big component of it was control time. She had like 10 minutes of control time, and by control time, it was just like pressing her against the cage.
Okay.
So I mean, that's that's not that great, right?
Yeah,
just
you
holding
just
her
got
against
the
the
damage,
cage.
Well,
So
you could say
then-
control time for I'm holding you against the cage, or I'm mounting you. Like
Right,
if I'm
different.
on your back, that means
That's different.
or I'm mounting you. That both there, it's all control time. But if I'm pushing you against the cage, like when you're getting pushed against the cage, you're like, all
Yeah,
right.
sometimes you just chill.
Yeah.
So fans were very critical. They're like, she controlled her for this long. They were saying it was the wrong decision because of the control time. But those were the same fans who were like, all she did was push her against the cage. You have to do damage. Because the other girl almost finished the fight 2 different times. She had a locked in rear naked choke, like locked in, very close to finishing it. And then she dropped her too. So like if you almost finish the fight, that means more than pressing someone against the cage.
Sure.
I think. But it's different because like I always say this, like win the fight but lose the contest. You know what I mean by that?
Yeah, I do actually.
Like if someone takes you down like the first 2 rounds and like just holds you there for like 3 minutes each, and
You
then
have no
third
idea.
round you almost finish them, you lost.
It's some people know how to compete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
MMA is still a game
sport,
and
yeah.
people know how to play. Some people know how to play the game and put it together very well. Whereas a lot of guys who are more inexperienced and just have that raw talent, they get more finishes because they want to hurt you. You know what I mean? They just know how to hurt you, right? But then there's the veteran, the guy who's been around and knows how to play the game.
Manufacture a win. Like
he knows. Yeah, he's like, all right, well, this guy, I know this guy's super dynamic. He's super explosive, but let me exploit his weaknesses, and then it may be in the ground, and maybe, hey, let me push him against the cage, and then let go and then strike, and then try to push him against the cage every
It's
time.
kind of like what Holly did.
Yeah.
She knows, like, everyone talks about how good her striking is. I'm like, she's going to just push her against the cage. Like, she
Yeah.
does that a lot and knows, like, she won't really go for a takedown, but
No,
she'll
not at all.
push against, she's so physically strong, she'll push her against the cage and win the whole round like that. And like, some fans are going to be like, oh, that's boring, or, but it's
like if
a
you
sport.
if
Still,
winning
it's
and
not.
Look
if
at
you
Bilal
scored-
Muhammad.
Yeah.
He's great at it,
Yeah,
and
he
people
is.
people hate Bilal, and I'm like, I don't get it. Bilal is a exceptional fighter. That dude is good.
And to
He
be able
knows
to
how to
do
win.
and to be able to
Game
have,
plan,
have
executes a
that
game
game plan, execute it like in the moment, like because maybe the first round you didn't do it right, but go back to it and do
Make
it again
adjustments. It's
and
hard
make
as fuck.
adjustments. And the hard when you're like exhausted is like the real, that's like how you show your real athleticism. I mean, in any
100%.
other sport, you get praised for like changing
right.
things when it's not going your way.
if the fight was judged like in totality,
Mhm.
then it would be different. You couldn't game it as much. Then it would be like who won a fight, like
Yeah.
a street fight. But the fact that they judge him each individual round, like the score count's irrelevant. Like if you land 100 strikes and I land 25, but you land all yours in one round and I did 25 to 0, 25, or 12 to
Yeah.
0, 12 to
Yeah.
0,
It should-
then I
it's-
win.
it's
but
so
not
dumb.
really.
Yeah.
Strike count's irrelevant though
It-
because it's scored by rounds.
That
Mhm.
significant strike thing, they got that so messed up. I think it's so wrong because
They
I
shouldn't
remember
put it on.
it's
No, they
so
shouldn't
annoying.
show it.
I remember I fought what's his name Barbarina. I fought
Mhm.
Barbarina, and when I fought Barbarina, every strike I hit Barbarina with was a clean strike, explosive from out. Like I connected well. We clinched up, and this motherfucker
Like
just went
rabbit
like this,
punches.
started rab punching to my face
And they
like this,
count them.
and I'm moving my face trying to get a takedown. And he's just like, he outstruck me the round.
Mhm.
I'm like, what the hell?
But like,
I think they know though.
He outstruck me.
think-
but the thing is, the judges don't see the strike count.
They don't?
They don't see that.
All right, well that's
So
good.
then, but the thing is,
But
it's
the
annoying
fans hate-
because they
fans
put that
make a big
up
deal out of it.
all the time. I've had girls like where I beat them,
Mm-hmm.
and then they like post. They're like, "It was a shit call. Look at the strike count." I'm like, "Look at your face and look," and I have
Right.
nothing on mine. I'm like, "It doesn't. It does.
And
Even if it's
we're
close.
rangy. We're rangy. So people, a lot of time, for some reason, people underestimate the fact that we're rangy. It's like,
Mhm.
all right, I jabbed you, boom, boom, and then the person may I jabbed you 3-4 times. The person may swing, and you're moving, and it like hits you, and but
Yeah.
you're still there. Everyone's like, oh, and it's like, I just
Mm.
annihilated your face with a jab the entire time. But just because it's a straight punch, it wasn't just this person that dipped my head, and it looked
Yeah.
like performative, and it was like this big action, but it's like there's really nothing there. I'm doing the most damage. I'm hitting you more consistently and more
Mhm.
effectively, you know what I mean?
Solid straight punches.
Yeah, but it's weird when you're long. I think if you're not putting people out, it's like people kind of just don't like your fight style. Same thing with Adesanya. Look how great that dude is.
Yeah,
And-
it's a lot of people say, "Oh, he's boring,"
and they hate him. I'm like, why are you?
What?
This guy
Mhm.
is amazing. Look at the things that he can do. And,
Yeah.
but
It's funny too
so
when
weird.
like if when the champions, if they don't get a finish for a couple fights in a
Mhm.
row, they're like, well, they don't finish anyone. If you're the champion, you're only fighting
the
the
best
Number one
best.
contender
ranked
every
guy.
time.
How
Yeah.
often does the number one ranked contender
get finished.
get finished?
Yeah.
Not often.
It's pretty rare. I mean, you got to be really special to finish someone in a championship fight.
For
It
sure.
happens,
for
but
sure.
Yeah.
they shouldn't be critical of that. Like George St. Pierre always got heat on that. It's like he hasn't finished anyone in 3 years. I'm like, yeah, but he's fighting.
He's
the best
fighting
of
the
the
best.
best.
That's
Sure.
like I always sometimes like for like the girl like I always get like heat for not having finishes, but like I'm only fighting like the top. I was like some of these girls there'll be girls in my division that are like praised for having more finishes than Valentina. I'm
Mhm.
like, but they've never fought anyone in the top 10. So like, you know what I mean? It's like
And
wait,
that
this don't
skill
make
gap
sense.
too in the women's
Huge.
division is so different. Like you guys,
Mhm.
like people of your caliber, it gets separated for you. So you're only gonna fight people who are
Yeah.
really good. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And then the girls coming up, it's like
Some of them might eventually go. They might be in there,
Yeah.
But there are a few that will go up. But most of them will just kind of stay there.
yeah, and they fight each other, and then hey, maybe they get the finishes. But a lot of times you see when the girls reach to where you are,
Mm-hmm.
it's like they don't really finish each other as
Yeah.
much. You know what I mean?
And then most girls like
If you
that
have
are.
3 or 4 finishes, you're leading the division like,
Yeah.
all time.
Mhm.
it's insane.
Yeah.
Like
And
most
it's
girls
hard.
in the top 10 for all the divisions, a lot of those girls in the top 10 have been there for a long time.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just crazy. No matter what you get, like
You get
Yeah,
you get shit on.
I always think
No matter what, especially with the fans are just MMA fans are rough, man.
Tough, man.
It's
Yeah,
a tough crowd.
and I
It's a
don't
tough
feed
crowd.
into like I'm pretty good at being like all that matters is winning. I don't care what anyone says. Like, you know, one time I said it, I was like,
They hated you.
they
for that.
hated me so much in an interview. They're like, oh, do you feel like for the fans you need to go out and get a finish? I'm like, well, first of all, like, I'm trying to. I'm not purposely not getting a finish. But I was like, you know, at the end of the day, I was like, a win's a win. And you know what I mean? Like the fans, like they're going to say something no matter what. And they're not, at the end of the day, they don't pay my bills. And I do. And everyone's like, yes, we do. Because and I'm like, okay, sorry I said that. I'm like, you kind of missed the point. Like I was just saying like, I don't, you know what, some like drunk guy on his couch is going to like talk shit on me, whether I get a win or not. At the end of the day, all that's important is really getting the win. Because you could have an exciting fight, and you went out there and brawled and then get knocked out at the end and they're like, yeah, you're exciting. And I'm like, well, I just got knocked out and I got half my paycheck.
And it happens twice in a row and then you suck on top of all that.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Man, it's crazy.
So when do you want to fight next? You trying to fight soon?
Yeah. I've
Would you fight in the summer?
I would actually. I've asked for a fight already. I'm waiting to hear back from the matchmaker. You know, I do a couple names at him. You know,
I heard they're going to do a card in Long Island in 2022. Did you hear that?
Yeah, it's supposed to be. There's one in July, and actually they're doing one in Queens.
That's what I meant.
Yeah,
but they call it Long Island. That's what.
Did they say July?
Yeah, July 16th. That's
Really?
not confirmed, but that's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing.
I mean, that seems like it's so soon. They
Well,
I
think now they're doing like, I know like Star's fighting the week before that, and it still says like
TB.
Yeah, like I think now places are opening up, so they're just like, all right, cool, you're here.
I mean, at this point though, July 16th, that's almost like a short notice fight. That's how crazy it
fought.
goes. Yeah, you just fought.
I'm still training. I would love to.
Yeah.
I said, hey, put me in. It's literally 8 minutes from my house.
Yeah, it's amazing. Have you been to that place yet? We just drove by it for the first time. I was like, damn, this place is beautiful. I didn't even know they were doing it.
I went there. They had like a Korean combat there, or Dead Serious. They're like,
this is cool.
Yeah,
nice
a
place.
while ago. It's really nice. They used a different little area, but yeah, it's really
the
nice.
UFC will be in the big.
Yeah, it'll be in the arena. So.
That's cool. But so you want to stay active
this year? I would
do
love
that,
to.
and then hopefully they do an MSG.
Yes,
that's what I'm hoping
that would be
for.
ideal if I could fight. UBS and then MSG.
That'd be amazing.
And then
no traveling,
just chilling.
Yeah.
Traveling sucks.
Fuck yeah.
People are like, oh, you get to travel. It's like, wow, you get to travel around the world and fight people.
It'd be nice.
Like,
Like AC, New York, Brooklyn, Long Island. That's it.
And it's not what you think. Even if I am traveling, it's not what you think.
Sitting in a hotel room.
Yeah, I'm in a hotel room, like stressed out. Like, a lot of anxiety. I'm like, all right, well, I'm just focused on this one moment. I'm not enjoying anything.
Well, for my last one, we stayed one extra day. We usually, like, back in the day when we used to travel for fights, we would always stay one extra day. Like when I fought in Chicago or Toronto, like places like that, stay an extra day. But really, then that's only one day to see stuff, and you've been there for a full week, so you're like, okay, I gotta get home sometime, you know. But in Vegas, like we said, we stayed one extra day, and everyone's like, how was Vegas that whole week there? I was like, whole week. It was like no, it was like less than 24 hours, because until the day of the fight, that does not count. It's not fun.
It's crazy. It's hilarious though that people always ask that question. They're like, oh, you got to go here. Wow, how was it?
Did you sightsee? I'm like, sightsee. Nah. I was cutting weight. I almost died.
So totally off topic, but I wanted to just touch on how we went to a party this weekend. It was like one of her friends, and like several people went up to her and they're like,
gosh. I was like, why are you pointing?
Why are you still fighting? I thought, how come you're still fighting? When are you going to stop?
Yeah.
And they're like saying that to her. I'm like, she's ranked number 1. Like, would you go to like, Colby Covington or Rose or, any of these people who like, she's ranked first, but like 4 or 5 people, like they were from like her hometown. They're like, why are you still?
They're like, when are you gonna stop fighting?
That's because they care about you.
No,
but I'm not getting knocked out. It would be different.
But even they don't understand fighting. My family says the same thing. They always just like, all right.
I get
like,
that.
Oh, you won? It's like, all right, great. It's like, when are you gonna stop this? Like, this is crazy.
But I get family.
Like, what do you mean?
I'm doing so good.
I will say I understand. And this is what I said. I'm like, I understand if it's family because they love you no matter what, and they're like, more concerned about your health. But when it's like someone you're like an acquaintance and you don't really know.
But they have no idea. Like, just because this is my point, is just because they know you, it reduces you down.
Yes.
Like if they don't know you, they would never say that to Rose.
Yeah.
You and Rose are the same.
Yeah.
But they would never think, "Oh, Rose, why are you still fighting?" But if you know the person, they're familiar with you.
Yeah.
So they don't think of you at a high level. Whereas
Absolutely.
if you walk into like, some gym in, Ohio where no one knows you, oh my God, Randy Brown's here.
Yeah.
But where they're more familiar,
It's like, Randy's here.
Yeah.
It's true. That's true.
That's
I've
what it
actually
is.
experienced that and dealt with people like that too, where it's like they put like these strangers on like these pedestals.
Exactly.
And it's like, and like, especially, I actually knew a person that, it was my neighbor. Like I told, like he knew what I wanted to do. He saw me going to the gym and everything. We're very close, and he used to always tell me, you can't fight this guy. You can't do that. This guy will do that. He'll kill you. Are you crazy?
Oh my
Are you
God.
crazy? And I'm like, bro, like me and him we're the same, bro. What are you talking about? Like we're the same.
They don't realize it's like
because
super
they know
disrespectful.
Yeah, they don't
Yeah.
realize they're just like,
But it just reduces you down just because of the familiarity.
it's so weird.
Yeah, usually I'm like, oh, sometimes most of the time you're like, okay, they don't know any better or whatever.
Yeah.
But
It
then
still bothers you though sometimes.
But sometimes I'm like, yo, that's super disrespectful. Like there'll be like that happened. I was like, so many people were like, when are you gonna stop fighting? I was gonna be like, when are you gonna stop working?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like what? Like, I don't ask you, or people ask all the time. They're like, oh, congratulations on your fight. Like people I don't know, like, would you get paid for that fight?
Oh yeah, damn.
I'm like, the guy at the car wash said that. He's like an MMA fan. He's like, that was a good fight. How much did you get paid for that?
Just tell him a crazy number.
Yeah, right.
Either way, high
like,
or low.
Yeah, I was like, not that much. Can you cover this car wash?
Yeah, there you
but
go.
you just want to be like, I wouldn't go up to him and be like, hey, how much did you make this year? It's like so weird that like sometimes if things people ask, people say it to me all the time, like, oh, you fought Valentina? They're like, what was that like?
I've had 7 wins since then. Let's talk about those instead.
That's so
I'm
annoying.
like, I can't really. It was kind of a while ago. They're like, oh, but she's like on a whole nother level, right? I'm like,
oh man.
and then I'm like, why do I feel uncomfortable? Like, why is it that I have to like baby these people?
They don't have etiquette. Another one is wow, what's your record?
Yeah.
Like, what's your record? Like it's the first thing they find out you fight or they see you, so like, oh man, what's your record?
And sometimes you're like, I don't even know.
Like
Sometimes that happens to me all the time. I'm like, I don't know. I was like, I know I have 4 losses. I don't even know.
Nah, I always just completely just hype it up. I fucking just.
I'd be like, I'm 43-0.
I'm fucking undefeated. You ever heard about me? I'm like, you ever heard about Khabib? Yeah, that's me. I'm Khabib. You know what I mean? Like I just fuck with people and just tell them like random shit. I'm better than Floyd, man. I don't know why you haven't even heard about me. Like my record is crazy. I'm like the best thing. Just look me up. Go ahead.
Yeah, look it up. See ya.
Well, I think you're gonna keep surging. I want to wrap it up pretty soon because I feel bad for your cat. If we say that, we can't really talk about that.
She's not by herself. The car started. She's My girl's in there with her.
People will be like, "You're the worst cat owner ever."
Yeah.
So you got to go home, take care of your cat. But thanks for coming out, man. Really appreciate it.
We really
no problem.
appreciate it.
Anytime. Thanks for having me.
And,
real quick, we go back. We go way back, man. We fought on amateur cards together. We became amateur champions together.
Yeah. MMA.
MMA. We fought our final amateur fights before we went pro on the same card when we won titles. So
that's awesome.
I gotta try to find the picture so we can maybe put it up for the
find that.
Yeah, we have a picture from after with our belts.
Yeah, we both got our belts
before any pro fights.
Before anything, back
that's
in the day.
Wild.
Yeah.
Like in like a high school gym,
It's crazy the talent around. I mean, because I remember all of Gregor's fights. You were on those cards. At Ring of Combat.
Yep.
I was at every one of them. Isn't it crazy the Ring of Combat years? Like how often you're in Atlantic City,
man. And it seems like it was just yesterday, and now we're
you'd be in Atlantic City like once every other month.
Sometimes I think the regional scenes. I always say I'm like sometimes those fights were a little bit more fun, like more fun.
They were.
You had your whole family there. You had a whole crew. It was like celebration.
I imagine that's what it is. In the future when we become world champions, it'll be that again.
Title.
Yep. Because when. At that time, it's like we used to pack that place, and you had your whole family and everybody just screaming, and you win, and you. When I was on the local scene, I feel like I owned it more than I own it now. You know what I mean? So sometimes I got to tap into that and remind myself, and then own it. Like when they announced me, that showmanship that I had. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, this is my house. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're probably like me, where you're a little like you're humble, which is good, but sometimes you got to be like, okay, wait. what I'm doing is pretty crazy.
Yeah, you gotta
know?
remind yourself sometimes. Like,
Sometimes
yo.
I watch.
You got traction now. Both of you guys are on amazing streaks right now.
Yeah.
4 in
Sometimes.
a row, 3 in a row, good opponents.
Sometimes when I watch
that's really a big
fights,
deal.
like when we're just sitting at home, I watch UFC fights, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. I'll get hyped up. I'm like, wait, I just did that last week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's, you kind of disassociate yourself with that, but it's cool.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so the pro and the bro, right?
Yep. Pro and the bro.
Yeah.
You know, check us out. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll put it.
We'll
Zane will
link
put in the
everything up.
links.
All right.
But yeah, thanks for coming, and we'll see everyone next week.
Really appreciate it.
Peace.
Bye.
Hey.